In my past life, I accidentally saved Diana Thompson, a New York socialite who'd been kidnapped. I worked 4 jobs a day, pouring everything I had into caring for her, raising her like a delicate princess. But after her family found her, she forbade anyone from ever mentioning that unbearable past. Seeing that I'd done the Thompson family a great service, her grandfather asked me what I wanted as a reward. Back then, I was naive enough to say, I want to marry Diana. I want to take care of her for the rest of my life. What I didn't know was that from the day she returned to her family, Diana had fallen in love with Lucas Caldwell, a wealthy New York scion. After we were married, she treated me with extreme coldness, even wiping her hand with a handkerchief every time she so much as touched me. Later, she became pregnant, and she needed a way to be with him without being branded as an ungrateful cheater. Diana pushed me from the top of a skyscraper with her own hands. As I lay dying, she told me nonchalantly, my first choice was always Lucas. The backup could have been anyone. Frank, she sneered, how could a pathetic, poor man like you ever deserve to be my husband? When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that very day, with her grandfather asking me what I wanted. This time, I buried my foolish fantasies and booked a flight out of New York for the following week. I looked at Mr. Thompson Sr. calmly and said, I'd like a sum of money, and then I'll leave New York. I want to go find a life of my own. What? Are you really willing to leave Diana? Mr. Thompson Sr. asked, his brow furrowed in disbelief. Everyone knew how much I loved her. They all assumed I would use the fact that I'd saved her life as leverage to make her marry me. In my last life, that's exactly what I did. And in return, I received nothing but cold shoulders, contempt, and ultimately, my own death. The feeling of hitting the pavement, of my body shattering into 1,000 pieces, is still terrifyingly fresh. I can still see the look of pure relief in Diana's eyes as she pushed me. Reborn into this life, I refused to be a fool again. I took a deep breath and gave her grandfather a calm smile. Diana and I are from 2 different worlds. She deserves someone better. I want to build a life for myself, too. I hope you can grant me this, sir. Mr. Thompson Sr. sat in silence for a long moment before letting out a heavy sigh and nodding. You're right. The gap between you and Diana is too wide. A life together would be doomed from the start. The Thompson family is indebted to you, not just for saving her, but for taking such good care of her. Name your price. I'll give you whatever you ask. He looked up at me. Frank, you don't have to leave New York, you know. I can make sure you're set up for a good future here. I just smiled and shook my head, my gaze dropping to the floor. It's time for me to spread my own wings. I want to see what life is like when it doesn't revolve around Diana. Sir, could you do me a favor and not tell her I'm leaving just yet? She's just taken over the family business and is incredibly busy. I don't want to distract her. It was nearly dark by the time I left the Thompson estate. I had just pulled my car door open when my phone rang. It was Diana. In my previous life, this was the time she and Lucas Caldwell were confessing their feelings for each other. But I had used my life-saving favor to have her grandfather force her to marry me instead. I was so blissfully ignorant in that marriage, completely unaware of the truth until I walked in on her and Lucas locked in a passionate kiss. Only then did I realize her heart had always belonged to someone else. Shaking off the memory, I answered the call. Before I could say a word, Diana's furious voice erupted from the speaker. Frank, I told you to bring me a file. Are you dead? Do you have any idea how long it's been? You can't even do one simple thing right. What good are you to me? Her shouting reminded me that I was, in fact, supposed to be delivering a file to her. I took a breath. I forgot. In the past, I would have groveled, apologized for an hour, and then rushed over to her office. But now I just didn't want to. Diana was silent on the other end for a long moment, as if she couldn't compute my response. Finally, she spoke. How could you forget that? You have the brain of a goldfish. Whatever. Just have dinner ready. I'm on my way home. Without giving me a chance to reply, she hung up. I stared at the dead screen, a familiar ache spreading through my chest as tears welled in my eyes. A second later, I opened the airline app on my phone. I booked a one-way ticket to Europe, departing in 1 week. 5 years ago, when I was living in a small town in Ohio, I found Diana. She had been kidnapped and had fallen from a cliff, leaving her severely injured and with total amnesia. I spent every penny I had to save her life. When I reported it, the police couldn't find any records of her identity, so they asked me to look after her. I ended up taking care of her for 5 years. As Diana recovered, a new person emerged. She was brilliant, sharp, and so beautiful it was almost unreal. The folks in town would tease me, saying, "Looks like Frank found himself a wife out there." I was too shy to say anything back, but deep down, their words made me happy. I was an orphan who grew up bouncing between foster homes, so Diana's presence completely changed my world. I got used to having her around, to having someone to come home to. I dropped out of community college and started working those 4 jobs to put her through school, to buy her nice clothes and good food. Over 5 years, I did everything I could to give her the life of a princess. And Diana was wonderful. She was a great student, and she was so good to me. She'd secretly get part-time jobs because she felt bad about how hard I worked, using her earnings to buy me new clothes I'd never buy for myself. She would wait for me outside my late-night job every single day in the freezing winter to walk me home. We lived like that, caring for each other for 5 years. Then, her family found her. That's when I finally understood why the police had found nothing. She was the heiress to the Thompson dynasty in New York, her identity so fiercely protected that she was practically a ghost. The day we left that small Ohio town, she held my hand gently, her eyes smiling as she said, "Frank, come with me. From now on, it's my turn to take care of you." When I opened the door to our apartment, the living room was dimly lit. Diana was sitting on the sofa, her face a dark mask, dressed in an expensive, custom-tailored black dress. She heard the door and slowly turned her head, her voice dripping with ice. "Where have you been? Didn't I tell you to stay home?" I stood frozen in the doorway for a moment, then walked past her and flipped on the main light without a word. I answered her question nonchalantly. "Your grandfather wanted to see me, so I went to the estate. Then I walked into the kitchen, tied on an apron, and started making dinner." My detached tone seemed to infuriate her. She shot up from the sofa and stormed into the kitchen. "Frank, who the hell do you think you are? What is this attitude?" I don't know when it started, but every word she said to me was laced with venom. In my past life, I just assumed she was stressed from taking over the company. Now I understood the real reason. When you don't love someone, you stop bothering with kindness. A wave of bitterness washed over me. I put down the kitchen knife and turned to face her. "What kind of attitude would you prefer?" "Diana, I don't owe you a thing." At my words, her hands clenched in a fist at her sides, her eyes turning red as she glared at me. She let out a cold, sharp laugh. "You don't owe me. Frank, if it weren't for me, would you be living in this penthouse? Driving that luxury car? Don't you forget that you're nothing but an orphan from some backwater town in Ohio. The people who know you best always know exactly where to twist a knife." Her words shattered my heart, but I fought to keep the tears from falling. After a long, tense silence, Diana seemed to realize what she'd said. She softened her expression and was about to speak when her phone rang. The moment she pulled it from her purse, I saw the name on the screen, Lucas. Her tone, which had been so full of rage with me, instantly melted into something soft and sweet. "Lucas, don't worry. I'm on my way to get you right now. Just stay in the car and wait for me, okay?" She rushed out of the kitchen without a single backward glance. The front door slammed shut, and my legs gave out, sending me stumbling to the cold tile floor. The tears I'd been holding back finally broke free. I sobbed, clutching the fabric over my heart, and whispered in agony, "Diana, when you call his name, do you ever for a second think of me?" Diana didn't come home that night. The next morning, I saw the photos trending on Twitter. Lucas Caldwell carrying her into his mansion. The headlines were all the same. New York's favorite socialite Diana Thompson and the wealthy scion Lucas Caldwell were finally making it official. A match made in heaven. They were right. They were the ones who belonged in the same world. To Diana, I was just an outsider who happened to save her. It only took me 3 days to get my passport and visa paperwork in order. I paid a hefty fee to an agency to enroll in a university program in Europe. Diana was right about one thing. Without her, I never would have experienced this kind of life. In that sense, our debts were settled. Mr. Thompson Sr. had been kind to me since I arrived in New York, and now I was leaving with a substantial amount of his money. I figured I'd never see him again, so I decided to buy him a small thank you gift. I walked into a high-end tie shop, and the first thing I saw was Diana, carefully adjusting a tie for Lucas Caldwell. She was beaming, her touch delicate as she fixed the knot. The way they looked at each other was thick with an intimacy that was impossible to miss. Then, Diana spotted me. The smile vanished from her face, replaced by a dark scowl. She strode over to me. "Are you following me?" My heart seized, and I opened my mouth to explain. But Lucas spoke first, casually taking Diana's hand in his. "This must be Mr. Miller, I presume? The hero who saved my Diana." Seeing them together like that, it was impossible for me to remain calm. My reply came out harsher than I intended. "What if I am? Frank, watch your tone." Diana snapped immediately. I looked at her and gave a cold, empty smile. Did I say something wrong? Lucas quickly stepped in to play peacemaker. He smiled gently and tugged on Diana's sleeve. Come on, Diana. There's no need to get upset over someone so beneath you. He then turned his condescending gaze on me. Mr. Miller, it seems a few days of living the high life has made you forget who you are. Don't forget, if you hadn't gotten lucky and found Diana, you wouldn't even have the right to be in the same room as me. Everyone, including Diana herself, seemed to think I should be grateful for the privilege of saving her. The thought made me sick. I dropped my gaze and let out a bitter laugh. If I could go back, I said, my voice flat, I'd wish I never found her at all. Frank, Diana screamed. She looked like she wanted to kill me, her voice a low growl through clenched teeth. Say that again. I dare you. I lifted my head to meet her furious gaze, my own vision blurred with tears. Diana, I repeated, my voice cracking. If I had the choice, I wish I had never saved you. This time, she didn't say a word. She just stared at me for a long time, her expression a complex mixture of emotions, before turning and storming out of the store. Lucas started to follow, but paused as he passed me. He turned, a smug, triumphant smile spreading across his face. Oh, by the way, here's some good news I thought you should hear. Diana's pregnant. Those two words were enough to freeze the blood in my veins. In my last life, this happened years later. I never imagined it would be so soon this time. Seeing the stunned horror on my face, Lucas gave a satisfied smirk and walked away. The night before my flight, Diana did something she never did. She called me first. She said there were things she wanted to talk over with me. I assumed she was going to tell me about the pregnancy, or maybe that she and Lucas were getting married. Whatever it was, it didn't matter anymore. When she arrived at the apartment, the first thing she saw was my packed suitcase by the door. She froze for a second, then asked, a confused look on her face, "Where are you going?" I glanced at the luggage, and for the first time, I lied to her. You remember Mrs. Gable, our old neighbor back in Ohio? She's sick. She said she misses me and asked me to come visit. When are you leaving? She asked quickly. I hesitated for a beat before continuing the lie. Tomorrow night. Diana nodded, seemingly to herself. Mrs. Gable was always so kind to me. I'll go with you tomorrow night to see her. I didn't respond. We stood in a strange, heavy silence. Finally, Diana broke the tension. She kept looking at me, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Instead, she pulled a small velvet box from her purse. She opened it, revealing a diamond ring so large and brilliant it stole the air from my lungs. My heart skipped a beat. A bitter thought crossed my mind. So she and Lucas really are getting married. Is it beautiful? Diana asked. Her question snapped me back to reality. I looked up at her. It's fine. She fell silent, biting her lip with a look of disappointment. Frank, I know I've been awful lately, she began, her voice suddenly soft. I've said so many hurtful things, but I swear I didn't mean them. I gave a faint smile. At least she had the decency to apologize before we parted ways for good. It's fine, I said coolly. It's all in the past. Her eyes lit up my words, and she suddenly grabbed my hand. Really? You're not angry with me? I had no idea what was going on with her. Just as I was about to respond, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I gently pulled my hand away from hers and took out my phone. It was a message from the rental agent I contacted. Mr. Miller, I've secured the apartment for you. The landlord will contact you as soon as you land. I locked my phone and looked back at Diana. This was it. This was the real goodbye. I took a deep breath and offered her a genuine smile, the first one in a long time. Yeah, I'm not angry. She seemed to let out a huge sigh of relief and reach for my hand again, but this time I instinctively took a step back. She noticed the small movement, and her smile froze on her face. Frank, you really don't blame me? There's so much I've been wanting to tell you. Diana, let's talk about it when I get back. I interrupted, suddenly feeling exhausted. She opened her mouth as if to protest, but then just nodded. You're right. We have plenty of time. We can talk after we get back from Ohio. As she left, she kept looking back over her shoulder at me. At the door, she turned and pressed the ring box into my hand. Here, you hold on to this for me. I'll come get you after work tomorrow, and we'll go see Mrs. Gable together. I just watched her, smiling silently. The second the door clicked shut, I dropped the ring box into the trash without a moment's hesitation. I grabbed my suitcase and my keys and headed for the airport. This time, it was truly over. 5 years later, my plane landed back in New York. As I walked out of the terminal, I saw her from across the street, a beautiful woman with a warm smile, leaning against a black Bentley. Catherine Bailey saw me too. She waved, then strode confidently toward me. Long time no see, Frank. I smiled back. Imanut, the great Catherine Bailey, picking me up from the airport herself. She didn't reply right away, instead taking my suitcase from me and ushering me toward the car. Everyone's waiting. They're all excited to finally meet the brilliant, mysterious screenwriter who came out of nowhere. After leaving New York 5 years ago, I went to London to study. I stumbled into a screenwriting course by accident and fell completely in love with it. I went from knowing nothing to writing my own scripts, and in just 5 years, I had managed to build a career and make a name for myself. A lot of people in the industry were curious about me, this writer who'd appeared out of thin air. As it happened, Catherine, or Kate as she preferred, had the rights to a fantastic novel she wanted to adapt. She reached out about a collaboration, and because she'd been a huge help to me when I was starting out in London, I agreed to come back to New York without a second thought. On the way to the welcome dinner she'd arranged, I watched the familiar city streets fly by and felt a strange pang of emotion. I never thought I'd set foot in this city again. So how long are you planning on staying? Kate asked. I didn't have to think about it. I'll leave as soon as we wrap filming, I said. The weather in Aspen should be nice by then. I'll head there for a while, get some fresh air. Kate nodded in understanding, and we rode the rest of the way in comfortable silence. We arrived at the restaurant a few minutes later. We walked upstairs together, and as Kate pushed open the door to the private dining room, I saw a table of industry people who had been waiting for us. But what truly shocked me, what made the air leave my lungs, was seeing Diana Thompson sitting among them. I thought I would never have to see her again. Everyone, I'd like you to meet the man of the hour, Kate announced. The brilliant screenwriter known as Joke, Mr. Frank Miller. As she finished, the room broke into applause. I could see several people looking me over, whispering amongst themselves. I can't believe he's so young. From the reputation, I was expecting someone much older. Don't let his age fool you. His talent is the real deal. I heard Kate had to pull a lot of strings to get him to come back to New York. They must be pretty close. Their chatter didn't bother me. I pulled my eyes away from Diana and gave the room a polite smile. Please, just call me Frank. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Kate guided me to an empty seat, but I could feel a pair of eyes burning into me from the moment I'd walked in. It was obvious whose they were. As soon as I sat down, Kate made the introductions. Frank, this is our film's lead investor, Ms. Diana Thompson. Then she turned to Diana. Diana, this is my dear friend, Frank Miller. Diana's voice was low and tight. You've never mentioned this dear friend before. There was an unmistakable edge of displeasure in her voice. Kate just raised an eyebrow. Well, he's more than just an ordinary friend. And since Frank doesn't live in New York, it's not surprising you've never met. More than an ordinary friend? Diana repeated the words slowly, a cold sneer forming on her lips. The mood at the table turned icy, and everyone else fell silent. I poured myself a full glass of whiskey, stood up abruptly, and looked directly at Diana. Miss Thompson, thank you for investing in the Green Hills. Kate and I are indeed very close. Let this be a toast to the film's future success. With that, I tilted my head back and down the entire glass. My action caused both Kate and Diana to shoot to their feet, their brows furrowed with concern. Before I could finish, Kate snatched the glass from my hand. To the astonishment of everyone at the table, she finished the last of the whiskey herself. Then she turned to me with a smile. You know your stomach can't handle that. Don't be an idiot. The moment felt strangely familiar, and a memory flooded my mind. I'd met Kate 3 years ago when I was just starting out. It was at a similar dinner, and a director was pressuring me to down a full glass of liquor. I couldn't see a way out of it, and was about to just do it. Suddenly, a delicate hand snatched the glass away, and before I could even register what was happening, Kate had drained it herself. She then turned to the director with a charming smile and said, "Let's not bully the new guy, shall we?" Kate and I locked eyes for a long moment before I finally snapped out of it, only to see an expression on Diana's face that I couldn't even begin to describe. She let out a cold snort and began to clap slowly. When she spoke, her voice was dripping with sarcasm. My, Director Bailey and Mr. Miller must be exceptionally close. Sharing a drink from the same glass. How intimate. Kate started to respond, but I cut her off. I've just spent over 10 hours on a plane, and I'm exhausted. Please excuse me for cutting the night short, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to meet later. Please, everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. The bill is on me. With that, I turned to leave, not even sparing Diana a glance. Kate followed me, her expression full of concern. Are you okay? She asked quietly. Let me take you home. I shook my head. It's fine. I can get back on my own. Are you sure you can even find a place? Kate countered with a playful smile. Come on. I have some work to do anyway. I wasn't planning on staying in New York for long, so I'd intended to get a hotel. But Kate insisted she had several apartments in her building that were just sitting empty and offered one to me. I tried to refuse a few times, but she was persistent, so I finally gave in. Kate said a quick goodbye to the group, and we left together. We had just reached the parking garage when a voice called out from behind us. Frank, wait. It was Diana. Kate and I both stopped. She instinctively moved to stand slightly in front of me, offering Diana a polite but firm smile. Miss Thompson, did you need something from Frank? It's getting rather late. Perhaps we could discuss it on set tomorrow. Diana completely ignored her. She walked around Kate, grabbed my arm, and looked up at me, her eyes red and pleading. These 5 years, where have you been? Do you have any idea what happened after? Miss Thompson, please, I interrupted, pulling my arm free and taking a step back. A look of hurt and disbelief flashed in her eyes. She repeated my words in a choked whisper. Miss Thompson, please. Frank, you never used to call me that. I looked at her, my face a blank mask. You said it yourself. That was the past. Things are different now. If you don't have anything else to say, please get out of our way. I'm tired and I want to go home. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my arm again, her voice suddenly small and pathetic. Don't go. Frank, please. There's so much I need to ask you, so much I need to say. Before I could even think of a response, Kate stepped forward and firmly removed Diana's hand from my arm. Ms. Thompson, Frank is tired. Please stop harassing him. Whatever it is, it can wait. We're going home now. Kate started to lead me away, but Diana's cold voice stopped us. Home? You live together. Kate nodded without hesitation. We do. I don't know or care what your history is with Frank, but right now, he's exhausted and needs to rest. So please stop bothering him. And with that, Kate took my arm and led me away, not giving Diana another chance to speak. On the drive back, Kate and I sat in the back seat in silence. I could tell she was bursting with questions, so I just told her everything. The whole story from the beginning. The more I spoke, the deeper her frown became. We were never really a couple, I finished. We were just two people who helped each other through a difficult time. I turned to Kate and tried to lighten the mood. You know, for someone whose movie depends on her, you weren't exactly polite to Diana back there. Aren't you worried she'll pull her funding? That seemed to snap her out of her thoughts. She gave me a wry smile. Frank, after hearing all that, I'm the one who doesn't want to work with her anymore. Let her pull her funding. I'll finance the movie myself. I couldn't help but laugh. Wow, Director Bailey. Very impressive. Just don't blame me if she actually does it. She laughed and reached over to playfully mess up my hair. Oh no, if that happens, I'm definitely blaming you. The mood was lighter than I'd expected, but that was how it always was with Kate. For the 3 years I'd known her, our friendship had always been easy, comfortable. It never felt like a burden. Kate showed me to the apartment and had even thoughtfully made the bed for me. I'm just upstairs, so call me if you need anything, she said. The place is clean, but I'll have my housekeeper come by tomorrow to give a proper once-over. Just as she finished speaking, she smoothed out the last wrinkle in the comforter and turned to me with a smile. It'll have to do for tonight. I looked around the pristine apartment and smiled back. I am overwhelmed. The great director, making my bed for me. I'm not worthy. She just rolled her eyes. Oh, shut up. After she'd shown me everything, Kate was ready to head back to her own apartment. She gave me a few last-minute instructions, and then, without warning, she threw her arms around me. I went completely still, my hands hovering awkwardly in the air, unsure of what to do. She just hugged me tighter, her voice a soft murmur against my chest. Frank, it's so good to see you again. I threw myself into pre-production. My days were spent on set, working on the script, and my evenings were spent heading home with Kate. She was an amazing cook, and in just a few short weeks, I'd already gained a few pounds. We were walking off the set one evening when Kate turned to me with a smile. What for dinner tonight? Weren't you craving those short ribs I make? Enough, Kate. Are you trying to make me fat? I joked back. Just then, Diana appeared as if from nowhere, blocking our path. She'd actually been showing up on set a lot lately, always hovering around me, looking like she wanted to talk. I've been doing my best to avoid her. Miss Thompson, Kate said, her voice tight with annoyance. If you're having second thoughts about the production, you can still pull your funding. I'll even waive the penalty fee. Diana ignored her completely and walked right up to me. Her voice was uncharacteristically timid. Frank, I was hoping we could have dinner. There's a lot I'd like to talk to you about. I knew if I said no, she would just keep hounding me. I sighed, resigned, and nodded. Then I turned to Kate. You go on ahead. I'll talk to her. Frank, she started to protest, but then stopped herself. Her face was a cold mask as she said, I'll wait for you for dinner. She shot Diana one last glare before walking away. Once Kate was gone, I turned back to Diana. You can say whatever you need to say right here, Ms. Thompson, though I honestly don't think we have anything left to discuss. My coldness seemed to wound her. A bitter smile touched her lips. You lied to me. You promised we would talk when you got back. But when I went to your apartment the next day, you were gone. I thought you'd left early for Ohio, so I drove all night to find you. But Mrs. Gable said she hadn't heard from you at all. Frank, Do you have any idea how hopeless I felt? I watched her, saw the genuine pain in her eyes, and felt nothing. In fact, I was mostly just wondering if Kate was going to make those short ribs tonight. I don't know, I said flatly. And I don't want to know. Diana, you chose Lucas. I left so you could be happy together. I paused and shrugged. Besides, it's not like we were ever really anything to each other. Frank, she cried out, her eyes flooding with tears. How can you say we were nothing? You saved my life. You worked 4 jobs a day to take care of me. You were everything to me, and now you're saying it meant nothing. Have you no heart? I couldn't help it. I laughed. I looked at her, my brow furrowed in genuine confusion. Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? Diana, are you the one with no heart? Have you really forgotten all the things you said to me? My question left her speechless. She opened and closed her mouth a few times before the words finally came out. Frank, believe me or not, I know I was wrong. I truly do. I had a dream, a nightmare. In it, you used the fact that you saved me to force my father to let us marry. I was happy at first, I really was. But then I met Lucas through work, and things between us became complicated. You misunderstood what was happening between us, and we started to drift apart. I became cruel to you, and in the end, I killed you. After you were gone, I was so consumed by guilt that I lost my mind. Eventually, I killed myself to be with you. But when I woke up, it was 2 days before you left. That's why I was trying so desperately to make you stay. She fumbled in her pocket and pulled out a velvet box. Inside was the same diamond ring I'd thrown in the trash. I was going to propose to you, she said, her voice frantic. I want to make up for everything. But you just disappeared. I've been looking for you for 5 years. Listening to her story, my first thought was that she had been reborn too. It suddenly all made sense. Her strange behavior that last night, the sudden apology, the ring. She had changed because she'd already lived our tragic story once before. I took a deep breath. But you were pregnant. How could you, as a mother, be so casual about changing your child's father? That's not true. Diana cut in, her voice desperate. I wasn't pregnant. I swear on my life I wasn't. That was a lie Lucas told you. He made it up to make you leave. Frank, please, you have to believe me. Looking at her face, I knew she was telling the truth. But it didn't change the fact that in our first life, she had fallen for Lucas. This time, she was just reborn before things could go that far. I felt a dizzying sense of irony. Fate really had a twisted sense of humor. But what was done was done. I had made my choice to leave and never look back. And I had no intention of telling her that I was reborn too. I gave her a cold smile. That's quite a story. But even if it's true, it doesn't change anything. We can't go back. Diana, please stop disturbing my life. I turned to walk away. I heard her let out a soft, broken laugh. Is it because of her? She asked, her voice full of defeat. Is Catherine Bailey the reason you're being so cold to me? I stopped walking, but I didn't turn around. Even if it wasn't for Kate, it would be someone else. The Frank who loved you. You lost him a long time ago. The moment I walked through the apartment door, I saw Kate in the kitchen, wearing an apron and humming to herself. The table was already set for dinner. She heard me come in and turned, giving me a soft smile. Go wash up. Dinner's ready. I knew she was upset about what had happened earlier. I went into the kitchen and started washing my hands at the sink next to her, taking my time. She never once looked at me, keeping her focus on the vegetables she was chopping. When I was done, I just stood there, watching her. She finally seemed to notice me. You should go wait in the dining room. It's getting smoky in here. Kate, I asked quietly, are you mad at me? My question was so direct it made her freeze, her hand hovering over the stove. After a long moment, she spoke without turning around. Frank, do I have any right to be mad at you? There was a surprising sadness in her voice. In the 3 years I'd known her, Kate had always been so bright and cheerful. Being with her had brought so much unexpected joy into my life. There had been an unspoken, ambiguous something between us for a long time. But back then, I was focused on building a new life for myself, and she was busy building her career. So we both, by some unspoken agreement, never crossed that line. Until now. Until she invited me back to New York for this film. To be honest, I was scared to accept her invitation. I was afraid that working together would solidify our relationship as just friends. But in the end, my desire to see her won out over my fear. I knew I had to be here, with her. Before she could react, I stepped forward, cupped her face in my hands, and kissed her. Kate, I whispered against her lips. Of course you have a right. I felt her tremble slightly, then go rigid with shock. After a long moment, she dropped the spatula with a clatter, turned off the stove, and threw her arms around my neck, pulling me down to deepen the kiss. Kate was much shorter than me, so I easily lifted her up to sit on the kitchen island. One of her hands rested on my chest, the other was tangled in my hair. The air between us crackled, and we were both breathless, like fish pulled from the water. Later, when I laid her down on the soft mattress, I could see the undisguised desire in her eyes in the dim light of the bedroom. I traced the line of her jaw, feeling like I was touching something precious, and then leaned down to kiss the corner of her mouth. She didn't need to say anything. She just tilted her head up and kissed me back, and that was all the answer I needed. When I woke up, Kate was just walking into the room in her pajamas. The moment she saw I was awake, a huge smile spread across her face. She sat on the edge of the bed and leaned in to kiss me. "Morning. Do you want to go back to sleep? Or are you hungry?" "I could eat," I said, kissing her back before getting dressed and leading her out of the bedroom. On the table was our dinner from the night before, which she had reheated. And there they were, the short ribs I'd been craving. The feeling of pure, simple happiness in that moment was overwhelming. After that night, Kate and I didn't hide our relationship on set. It didn't take long for everyone to know we were a couple, including Diana. "Frank, tell me it's not true," she demanded, storming into my on-set office one afternoon. I had been in the middle of a rewrite, and her sudden entrance completely shattered my concentration. A flash of pure irritation went through me. I put down my pen and looked up at her, my brow furrowed. "Did no one ever teach you to knock?" Diana didn't answer. She just stared at me, her eyes pleading for me to deny it. I was about to disappoint her. I met her gaze and said, my voice perfectly even, "It's true. Kate and I are together. We'll be sure to send you an invitation to the wedding. You can bring a gift." My nonchalant tone seemed to be the final straw. She rushed forward and grabbed my shoulders, her voice a mixture of panic and anger. "Are you doing this to punish me? Is this all just to get back at me for what happened before? I told you, there was never anything between me and Lucas. Frank, the only person I have ever loved is you. I could never forget that you saved my life. I could never forget those 5 years in Ohio. We were everything to each other. Why did we end up like this?" As she spoke, a single hot tear fell from her eye and landed on my cheek. Her gaze drifted down to my neck, her eyes suddenly wide and full of a new kind of despair. She had spotted the faint red mark on my skin. Her pupils constricted, and she reached out, scrubbing at the spot as if she could wipe it away. But her frantic rubbing only made it darker. When she finally realized what it was, she stumbled back, her hand falling to her side. "You and her." I had had enough. I pushed her away and shot to my feet. "Diana, from the moment you came back to New York, you made it clear that our past was to be erased. I heard you with my own ears, telling your friends that those 5 years were the most humiliating time of your life. Then you and everyone around you never let me forget that I owed my entire life to you. You said it yourself, remember? I'm just an orphan from some backwater town, and without you, I'd be nothing." "No, that's not what I meant," she stammered, but she couldn't find the words to defend herself. I took a deep, weary breath. "You're right. Without the Thompson family's money, I wouldn't be where I am today. But I saved your life, so I'd say that makes us even." "I don't want to be even," she screamed, tears pouring down her face as she reached for me again. I flinched back. "Don't touch me. Diana, I know about your dream. I know you were reborn. Because I was too." She froze, staring at me in utter disbelief. "The things that happened in our last life, the way I died, I still see it in my nightmares. I can't forget what you did to me. It was real. I was given a second chance, and I'm not going to waste it on a toxic, meaningless relationship. I'm happy now, truly happy. I want to protect that happiness, which is why I never told you. But now you know why I left. I hope you can respect my decision." I took one last deep breath and met her eyes. "So please, leave me alone." In the end, Diana left without another word. I thought that would be the last I ever saw of her. I never would have imagined that I'd get a call that night telling me she had tried to kill herself. The paramedics said her body temperature was already dropping when they found her. She'd filled the bathtub, and the cuts on her wrists were deep enough to see bone. She had clearly meant to die. Luckily, one of her housekeepers found her just in time. Kate asked me if I wanted to go see her. I was quiet for a moment, then I looked at her and grinned. "Wow, Director Bailey, you're that generous? Maybe I should just get back with Diana and have 2 girlfriends." Kate just laughed and snuggled closer to me. "Don't push it. I'm not that generous." The following summer, Kate and I got married. She even thoughtfully arranged for some of the kind people from my old town in Ohio to be there. "I want everyone who has ever been a part of our lives to see how happy we are," she'd said. "Some people will take your past and use it as a weapon against you, and others will take that same past, cherish it, and promise to spend the rest of their lives making you feel loved." I don't know what a perfect ending is supposed to look like, but this felt pretty close. It was almost time for the ceremony to start. I was sitting in the groom's suite, nervously fiddling with my tie for the 100th time, when my phone, which I'd left on the table, started to ring. I picked it up. It was an unknown number. I answered it, but the other end was silent. I was about to hang up, assuming it was a spam call, when a familiar, hoarse voice finally spoke. It was Diana. "Frank, I heard you're getting married today." "I am," I confirmed. There was a pause, and then I heard her give a short, bitter laugh. "I always thought I would be the one marrying you. And I did, didn't I? But I was too stupid to appreciate it. I deserved to lose you. You said you never wanted to see me again, and you meant it. Not even my trying to kill myself could change your mind. That was the first time you were ever truly cruel to me." I let out a long sigh. "Diana, when I loved you, I nearly gave up my life for you. So no matter what happens now, my conscience is clear." "I know," she said, her voice growing quiet. "That's why, as much as it killed me, I chose to let you go. At least Catherine is someone who can make you happy. It's just a shame I won't get to see it. I'm going to travel the world, and everywhere I go, I'll pray for you, for your happiness and your peace. If one day you stop hearing from me, it probably means I've died alone somewhere far away." Her voice was strangely calm as she said it. "But if I can't be with you, dying a stranger in a strange land feels like the next best thing." Her last words were, "Frank, I'm sorry, and I love you." Suddenly, my mind flashed back 10 years, to that summer when I first found her. She was a young girl in a simple white dress, sitting beside me as we watched the orange sun sink below the horizon. She had turned to me then and said, "Frank, I want to watch the sunset with you for the rest of my life." Just then, the wedding march began to play. I ended the call and set the phone down on the table. It was time to walk into my new life.